Hey, welcome into the Northwest Georgia football, West Georgia Saturday recap show. Man, we'll go over some of the results from Friday. Feel free to join us on YouTube or Facebook. Join in the comment section. We'll get your comments on the air. Pretty much it's going to be here 10, 15 minutes and talk about some of the surprises that we saw Friday night, some of the non-surprises we saw, good performances. Um, just recap the opening week of high school football here in Northwest Georgia. Got the scores rolling across the bottom of the screen. If you missed any last night, if you can't see the bottom of the screen, just ask me about one and I'll give you the score. But give a quick shout out to our sponsor this year, Al Smith, Alpha Insurance. Great guy. Does a lot to support high school sports here in Northwest Georgia. Give him a call, man, for all your insurance needs. But yeah, like I said, the surprises last night. Thursday and Friday night, 2 nights of football here in Northwest Georgia. The biggest surprise to me was probably Pickens Dragons beating Sonoraville in Pickens. Saw some of the stats out of the game. I think Pickens had about 370 yards total offense. I know Sonoraville put up a lot of yards himself, around 300. But yeah, that was definitely a surprise. Sonoraville will be at Darlington this Friday night, and Darlington was a team that performed well Friday night. 48-24 win over Christian Academy in Knoxville. Just looking at some of the stats here, the quarterback, who I think is the son of the Berry head football coach, but don't quote me on that, had a great first night, over 200 yards total offense. Sam Wooten, the transfer from Christian Heritage to Darlington, had a good game, scored a couple of touchdowns. Let's see, Northwest Whitfield, shutting out Pepperell. I think that was a surprise to some, 38-0. I know our man Hudson Gray had 2 catches early, 60 yards, touchdown. Gavin Knuckles stepped in at quarterback for Booker, who'd been there for 4 years. Did a great job. Threw for 225, a couple of touchdowns in the first half. Calhoun upset at Blessed Trinity. Central, 50-12 over Redan. Huge first half for the Central Lions, freshman quarterback. He threw for over 200, a couple of touchdowns. Jonas Walton, the running back they have, the freshman or sophomore now, 4 carries, 2 touchdowns. The Lions will be hosting Bowden this Friday night. Bowden's coming off a 21-20 loss at Manchester. Great game. Christian Heritage lost to Northcott Christian 42-21. I know Christian Heritage is hosting Temple this Friday night. Temple had a great opening night. I know Coach Nick's son, Hudson, got hurt, was having surgery today. Prayers out for him. I watched the first quarter of that game, and the kid had an outstanding game. And you could tell he was going to be a baller. Picked off a pass early. Hate it for him. Hate it for the Nix family, Temple program. But Rome Wolves, man. Rome Wolves 34-0 over Cass last night in the Corky Kale. Reese Fountain had a huge game. Threw for over 200, couple of touchdowns. The defense for Rome looks great. I know there's a lot of questions coming into the season, man, if Rome was going to be as good as they were last year. And I think it's safe to say that they are probably better than most people expected. The Thursday night game there, Union County, went over to Fannin, beat them 50-12. Surprised a lot of people. I saw Union play last year in the first round of the playoffs against Model. Man, they were pretty good then. I know they had a lot of kids coming back. And, was I surprised they beat Fannin? No. Was I surprised they put up 50 points? Yes. Bremen shut out Heard County, 24-0. That was a surprise to some. Maybe not Bremen winning, but the way in which they did it. 6 AAA is going to be wild this year, man. You've got Adairsville, Ringgold, Bremen all playing well. Coahulla Creek last night had a huge second half. They'll be at Northwest Whitfield this Friday night. Lafayette, 28-3 over Chattooga. 7A teams look good. Teams you expected to look good. Trine had a huge second half. Darlington won, like we said earlier. Still waiting to see who's going to fall into that 3 and 4 spot in 7A. Between Pepperell, Dade, the Armurchie Indians looked good last night. 35-14 victory at Gordon Central. Just a lot of exciting good things going on the first week of the season, man. Looking forward to week number 2. Like I said, if you guys want to comment, man, have any comments, want to give a shout out to anybody, hop over to YouTube, Facebook. We'll get your comments on the air. We'll be here like maybe 15 minutes or so, recapping some of the games from last night. I saw the highlight of the Langston Hughes Carrollton, the final play of the game. Langston Hughes stopped Carrollton on the half a yard line, man. Great game between two great programs. I expect to see them late in December, if not mid-December. Game I was at Thursday night, man. Cedartown Rockmart, great defensive battle. Both teams were lights out on defense. Brent Washington for Rockmart, absolute baller at linebacker. Rockmart's hosting Cass this Friday night. You know, Cass coming off that 34-0 loss to Rome. I know they'll be ready. Dade County went down to Athens Academy, lost 42-7. Dade's at home this Friday night hosting Marion County, Tennessee, looking to get back on the winning track. Yeah, like I said, Color Creek. Dalton, 35-14 at North Murray. North Murray was a slight favorite in that game. But Dalton, quarterback Dalton there, he had 4 touchdown passes, over 200 yards. And I think Dalton is off this weekend, and North Murray travels over to Pickens. And that'll be a good game. Pickens has a chance to win, go 2-0. See what we got here. North Cobb, Hiram. Yeah, Hiram was a big win last night for Hiram. 45-0 over Paulding County. Paulding County beat them last year. Hiram was only a 10-point favorite going in. Hiram is loaded with athletes. I mean, if you don't know anything about Hiram, they got 5 or 6 P5 guys, Power 5 recruits on that team, loaded from top to bottom. The whole region is going to be a contest this year between Calhoun, Cartersville, Hiram, Cass, Dalton now. I mean, Dalton's shown that they can be a contender in that region. Woodland. Ringgold, the game I was at last night, Ringgold at Heritage. Ringgold pulled out a 21-13 win. Ringgold defense looked really good. I saw Adairsville the week before up at Trine, man, and I have a feeling that Ringgold Adairsville game is going to be a barn burner. You got though Bremen in the mix now in that 6 AAA race. I said Armurchie 35-14 over Gordon Central. Head coaching debut for Coach Ballou and those guys. I know they're glad to get off on the right foot. They host Gordon Lee this Friday night. Gordon Lee coming off a loss to Trine at Trine. Cartersville 27-14 over Cherokee. Maybe not the offensive output we expected from Cartersville in that game, but they'll get it back on track. They are hosting Jonesboro this Friday night, another big favorite. They'll have a few weeks to get their offense on track before they head up to Calhoun. Gilmer 42-14 over LFO. Coach Standard has those guys playing well over there in LJ. Coach Standard, great coach. Bobcats are heading over to Fannin County on Friday night. Fannin coming off that loss to Union County, looking to get on the right track. South Paulding dropped to Harrison 16-6. Haralson County went up to Raven, pretty respectable score, 45-21. Haralson will be hosting Bremen Friday night. Coosa was the upset team of the week. We do the Cal Preps rankings here, and we come up with these point spreads or whatever, and Coosa was a 13-point underdog going up to Southeast this weekend. Pulled out the win 28-25. The Eagles Like I said, great start for the season for Coach Mathis and those guys, man. They work hard down there. Before the season's over, man, they're going to be a factor in that 7A race. But yeah, they host Woodland Friday night. Woodland coming off a 49-0 loss to a very good East Paulding team. East Paulding, I think, is going to be one of the surprising teams of 2023. I've been following them close all summer, man. They're working hard. Second-year head coach down there. They got a tough one this Friday night, though. They traveled to North Paulding. North Paulding got off with a win last night over Allatoona. It's going to be a tough test for East Paulding. Speaking of teams that didn't play last night, man, there's a few that were off this first week of the season. Daresville Tigers. Daresville will be heading over to Cherokee Bluffs, man, taking that long bus ride over to Flowery Branch. Like I said, I saw Daresville last week in the scrimmage, man. They look good. They got a lot of talent on both sides of the ball. It'll be a good test over at Cherokee Bluffs. I know Cherokee Bluffs lost to West Forsyth like 42-7 in the Corky Kale, and I know they'll be looking to get on the winning track. But yeah, I look for Daresville to have a good opening night. Mount Zion Eagles. Mount Zion was off last night. They'll travel to Greenville next Friday night. Like I said, man, if y'all guys have any comments, concerns, questions, want to ask anything, want to ask about the weather, good places to go on vacation, like I said, you can hop over Facebook, YouTube, send your comments in. We'll get them live here on the air. But yeah, just looking at the schedule for next week, man, there's some really good games coming up. One I forgot to mention was Cedartown traveling to Callaway. That'll be a heck of a game. Cedartown's a big favorite on paper, but I have a feeling that game will be a lot closer than a lot of people expect. Like I said, Calhoun ran into a tough Rockmart defense last Friday night, but you can tell that Rockmart has the kind of offense that's just waiting to bust out. Hopefully they do it Friday at Callaway. South Paulding, man, they get the honor of traveling over to Carrollton, facing the Trojans after that Langston Hughes defeat. Calhoun traveling down to Carver, Atlanta, another ranked opponent for the Yellow Jackets. Like I said, Bowden heading over to Central. Temple heading up to Christian Heritage, which I think could be a really good game. I mean, Temple was one of the most surprising teams of Friday night, man. 51-point win over Pike County. Looked really good. Like I said, I watched the first quarter of that game, man. Those guys were out there hitting each other. They were flying around, fast, physical. I think Coach Nick's got those guys ready to play. Woodlands at Coosa. Sonoraville at Darlington, we talked about. Gilmer at Fannin. Mount Zion at Greenville. Bremen at Harrelson. Next door neighbors going to butt heads. East. Woodstock at Hiram. Murray County's traveling up to LFO. That'll be a hard-fought game. Both teams looking to get in the win column. East Paulding at North Paulding. Coahulla Creek, Northwest Whitfield, which is a great game a couple of years ago. I don't know if you guys remember or not, but that was our upset of the year 2 years ago. Coahulla Creek is when we realized that they were getting the program on the right track, heading in the right direction. They'll get a chance to do it again this Friday night. Sprayberry at Paulding County. Model at Pepperell. Model at Pepperell is going to be a good game, man. Model was off this Friday night. Blue Devils had a great showing preseason, shut out both opponents in the varsity portion. Like I said, Pepperell got shut out last week at Northwest Whitfield, but I know they'll be ready to play this Friday night at home, at the home opener for the Dragons. That should be a good one. North Murray at Pickens. North Cobb Christian at Ridgeland. The Panthers were off Friday night also. They opened their season at home this Friday. A lot of expectations for the Panthers after last Friday's scrimmage. They beat Chattooga pretty handily in the second half. North Cobb Christian beat Christian Heritage last week, so it'll be a good test for the Panthers. Cass at Rockmart. Lithonia at Rome. Rome's a huge favorite in that game. Look for more offense from Reese Fountain and buddies. Gordon Central at Southeast Whitfield. Two teams looking for their first win. Lafayette, the Ramblers, coming off a 28-3 win over Chattooga. They will head down to Chattooga County this Friday night to play Tryon. Tough test. Tough test for the Ramblers. Like I said, early in that Tryon game, man, I saw the score was 14-7, and I was a little shocked. But Tryon turned it on in the second half, pulled away pretty handily. And then our last game on the schedule for week 2, Hebron Academy at Villa Rica. Wildcats open their season on Friday night. But yeah, so like I said, week 2, is there any I guess Cass Rockmart game is probably the highlight of the week 2 schedule. I know they played a pretty good game last year up in Cass. Like I said, Rockmart defense tough. Cass offense is tough. It's going to be a battle back and forth. Trying to see if there's any other games that catch my eye here. So Norville Darlington is going to be a good one. But yeah, some of the breakout players from this week, not really breakout players, but people I've seen on Twitter that have posted their highlights, whatnot, that had a really good Friday night. Hayden Fries, running back out of Ringgold, had 191 yards on 26 carries, a touchdown. Outstanding back, man. Built like a bowling ball, about 5'6", 190, tough runner. Reese Mountain went over 200 yards. Freshman quarterback at Central, man. His name slips him good, but I'm sure I'll know it over the next 4 years. But he threw over 200, 4 touchdowns in the first half. Quarterback at Darlington, over 200 yards. But yeah, like I said, man, we'll be on here for a couple more minutes. If you got any comments, concerns, shout outs, join us on Facebook, on YouTube. We'll get your comments live on the air. We'll be here with you, 15, 20 minutes every Saturday to recap the Friday night, maybe some late scores that came in, go over the week 2 schedule. And as always, man, join us this week at Wednesday at 7 p.m. for the Pick'em Show, everybody's favorite Pick'em Show, the show everybody loves to hate. Yeah, Pike County. So like looking at some of these scores for the first time, I kind of forgot some of them. Yeah, but Tryon putting up 56, man. Toby Maddox, if you guys don't know Toby Maddox, he's worth the price of admission. Get out and see the Tryon Bulldogs play this year. Bowden Manchester. I don't know if you guys saw the last play of that game last night, but the defensive back for Manchester went up and intercepted the pass, and he probably jumped higher than anybody I've seen. I mean, he went up behind him, caught the ball behind his back. Pretty impressive. But Manchester's number 4 ranked team. Armurchie, like I said, Armurchie 35-14. Gordon Lee this Friday night. That should be a barn burner out here on Highway 27. But yeah, like I said, if there's no comments or concerns, I will sign off and see you guys Wednesday night for the Pick'em. Benton will be back. Hopefully we'll get Chris to join us this week, and we'll hash everything out for you guys.